That was good yesterday.
Very good. We enjoyed it. Yes.
Good to see you.
Trippy when you first walk in every day. How are you doing?
Good to see you. Everything well?
It is. It is.
And Governor Gayatri also arrived just now.
Yes.
Let know.
Gayatri, thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us. Well, good morning to everybody. Thank you for joining me for today's announcement and discussion. And let me give you a little background first. First, let me say I'm delighted to be joined by the commissioners that are here that have served on the Commission for the Status of Women in Arkansas. And of course, the chairman, Allison Williams, joins us today. Gayatri Agnew of Bentonville, Tamika Edwards of Little Rock, Beverly Murrow of Little Rock, Melly Bridewell of Lake Village, Auditor Andrea Lee, Commissioner Marie Holder of Little Rock, Kim Lane of Conway, and Senator Elliott should be joining us, and Annabeth Gorman. And so give these commissioners a round of applause for their service and work. And in February of this year, I signed the executive order that created and formed the Arkansas Commission on the Status of Women. In my view, this is historic. As I will recite, it is essential and really important as we look at the future of our state. And I don't think my administration would be complete after 8 years of service without this report that is so critical to everything that we want to accomplish in Arkansas. I want to particularly thank the Arkansas Women's Foundation for their suggestion to have this Women's Commission and for their donation of $20,000 financial to help move it along. The purpose of the commission was to research and make findings on the current status of women in Arkansas, including labor force participation rates among Arkansas women, including single mothers, labor force participation rate in STEM fields and other emerging and high-demand career paths, looking at barriers of entry into the labor force for Arkansas women, and the effects of child care on women in the workforce and the participation rate. The idea for this commission came from history because the first commission was by Governor Rockefeller. In 1964, he created the first Women's Commission to focus on the social, political, and economic status of women. 10 years later, 1973, Governor Dale Bumpers reinstated the commission to find ways to enlarge the role of women in the activities in Arkansas from economic, political, and social. And then in 1975, Governor David Pryor instituted the Governor's Commission on the Status of Women to look at additional issues at that time. This commission has worked very hard. I've followed it. I know what Chief Allison Williams has done with the team and the ladies that are here, as well as the other representatives that are on the commission, Dr. Todd Shields. And the work of the commission was accomplished with numerous meetings across the state. I've read those reports, and they're enlightening, they're concerning, and they're motivating. And I hope that this is how this commission report will be received. And now with that, let me introduce my Chief of Staff, Allison Williams, who's done an extraordinary job leading this effort for the official presentation of the report and comments.
Thank you, Governor. And I will invite my partners with the WFA. I just realized I walked out without a copy of the actual report to give to the Governor. If you have one, I'll give you some time to bring it up here. So the Women's Commission report, in addition to the meetings that the Governor mentioned, relied on a number of sources of information in our research, including an online survey, which was available to citizens from March to November of this year. We had about 80 submissions for that. A phone survey conducted in early September that reached around 400 women, and the regional meetings that the Governor mentioned that found another 200 women to give enrichment to this report. Those meetings were held in Fayetteville, Mountain Home, Lake Village, Pine Bluff, Russellville, Jonesboro, and Magnolia. 3 subcommittees were established to address the mandates in your executive order, Governor, as you noted, which were to analyze the labor force participation of women in Arkansas, especially with regard to single mothers and in high-demand fields like STEM and entrepreneurship, the impact of COVID-19 on women in Arkansas, and the child care economy in the state. It will likely come as no surprise that the challenge of finding quality child care underlies many of the other challenges facing women in Arkansas, since the burden of care largely falls to women. COVID-19 exacerbated long-standing challenges, especially for those women in rural communities who may have already had difficulty accessing quality child care due to the clustering of child care in more heavily populated areas, transportation challenges, or availability for second and third shift workers. Access to basic physical and mental health services also dramatically declined during COVID and still has not rebounded. Because women do take on significantly more burden of child and elder care in their family, ensuring their physical and mental health is important. Throughout our discussions with women in those communities, we also discovered a strong desire for more mentorship, especially among women and with regard to entrepreneurship. The flexibility offered by working for oneself is enticing to women balancing any number of competing priorities that don't fit neatly into a typical workday. It was your direction and my strong desire, Governor, that our recommendations be actionable. I am pleased to say that they are. The 8 recommendations from the Commission are briefly to meaningfully engage the business community to address child care challenges, to increase access to women's and mental health resources, especially in rural communities, to increase equity in the labor force and in entrepreneurship, to increase mentorship for women, to incentivize Arkansans to enter or remain in the early childhood education profession, to increase awareness of programs designed to assist single parents, to increase equity in STEM education, and to provide technical assistance and capacity building for expanding existing childcare businesses. I know these are actionable because you'll be proving it shortly with an announcement. In addition, later today, 4 other organizations are announcing actions that support at least one recommendation from the Women's Commission. Thank you, Governor. This is surprising. For this wonderful opportunity to work with so many incredible women in Arkansas and in their communities, and on behalf of the Arkansas Women's Commission for the honor of delivering our work to you today.
Thank you, Allison. And whenever you talk about actionable items, sometimes we think about government. But actionable items come from the nonprofit sector, they come from the business community, they come from entrepreneurs, they come from those that are already engaged in the child care industry that is so important to what we're trying to accomplish. And so there's a lot of work to be done by all sectors of our life here in Arkansas, and government is simply one part of that. But I appreciate the depth of the recommendations, but also how everybody can take this and say, there's something here that we can latch on to, and we can increase participation of women in leadership roles, in all the opportunities that they seek in life. And so thank you for all the members of the Commission for your hard work. And based upon the recommendation of the Commission, one of them was to increase mentorship of women in the workforce. So today I'm committing $200,000 of my discretionary rainy day fund to support Arkansas State University's expansion of Women Business Leadership Center. And this will through the creation of the Delta Women's Leadership Academy. And so let me thank Arkansas State University, who's already taken a leadership role in the Business Leadership Center. This $200,000 will help them to expand that and to be able to reach an underserved population in terms of women in leadership roles and business opportunities and entrepreneurship. So I'm excited to make that. This will allow DWLA, the Delta Women's Leadership Academy, to mentor female college students who are determined to become entrepreneurs, business owners, and the next generation of successful leaders across a range of industries and occupations. And so this is exciting to me. I know it'll be put to good use. And this is just one recommendation on mentorship that we can support early on. There'll be other opportunities, and as Allison mentioned, there's going to be additional information provided and opportunities that will be discussed at the luncheon that they will be having today. With that, let me turn it open to see if there's any questions.
Good morning. Thank you so much for that presentation. I just had a question. What are some of is there a finding that you just thought was really surprising through doing the surveys and speaking to women?
Allison, I'll let you answer that first, then I'll answer it.
I don't know there was any real new news in there that was terribly surprising from a substance standpoint. I think the fact that we are still finding a lot of the same concerns about access to childcare or fair pay in relatively similar positions and those sort of things are surprising that they still persist. And so that's the importance of this commission, is to continue to highlight those, and the importance of partnerships like the governor just announced, and with the Women's Foundation of Arkansas to continue to address those that continue to linger around. Governor?
Well, as I perused the report, what struck me and I appreciated was the statistical information on the income disparity between men and women in the workforce. And I believe it compared 2016 data with 2020, so it's a 4-year span of time, and progress was made. The income disparity reduced, but there's still the gap there. And so it illustrates that in society we are making some progress, but it is slow. And that struck me as significant and important as a finding that we need to continue to work on in our workplace. The other thing that struck me was just the testimonials. That some of those are recorded in hearings around the state as to how women in the workforce have challenges, what they face, and of course child care being a large part of that, and the need that is there. So to me, those were two things that were important and that will catch people's attention as they look through it.
What are the next steps for this commission as a body, and how long would you all want to wait before reconvening and making another report?
Well, the commission is released. This was designed by my executive order to work hard to make the report, and their work is now complete, and so the commission will be ended in terms of their work. The work will continue both individually, through our nonprofits, through our private sector to accomplish the mission of this. But as you can see, this is something that we can act on that has last done probably about 47 years ago. Next year is the 50th anniversary of the first Women's Commission, and so this was important from a historical standpoint to document where we are, to make actionable recommendations, and then I know they'll come back and look at it again in the future.
Governor, for clarification purposes, it's $200,000. Is it all going to Arkansas State?
That's correct. That is going to them to help serve a population that has been historically underserved, but also they have an existing Women's Leadership Academy, and so it goes to support that and to expand that effort. And I'm sure that there'll be other institutions that will pick up on that and also increase their mentorship program for women. With that, I'm sure the commissioners will be available afterwards for any additional comments or questions you might have. Thank you for being here today for this important announcement and the important work that's ahead for us. Thank you. It looks pretty, too.